Alright, I'm gonna open up the Water Sewer Commissioners meeting, September 6th at, what time is it here?
20 past.
7:20. President is Bob Josie, Colin Hare, Keith Blaniaz, and Bob Sullivan. I'll open up the meeting with the systems managers, water and sewer report.
So I have a sewer report, I don't have a water report.
No.
Steve's on vacation.
Okay.
So for August, we had 3.16 inches of rain. Flow was 3.7 million gallons for an average of 120,000 a day. Cinegrow hauled 113,100 gallons off. Wasted 92,470 gallons for an average of 2,983 gallons a day. Used 642 gallons of alum, 313 kilowatt hours of electricity, and the river average was 6.177. So that's probably the lowest I've seen it for an average. We passed the third quarter toxicity testing. We had a delivery of alum and replaced the bulbs 1, 3, and 4 in unit number 2 on the UV. Any questions on the sewer side? You guys have a whole bunch of meeting minutes. I don't know if you want to do those or you wanted to go through them first.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I was hoping we can. Are these all?
Well, we kind of got to do this. We can't.
I know. We should email them so we have them before the meeting, so I don't sit here for hours going through.
Yeah. I was going to make a lump sum motion to pass them.
There was a bunch of them. I mean, it go way back.
Yeah, go back to December 14th.
Yeah. So I'm not even sure. Are they all in here? Are they all in right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got December 14th,
Oh, yeah,
of 21, January 20th of 22, February 1st of 22, March 1st of 22, and April 1st of 22. So you got 5 of them. You had a couple that we had canceled meetings. So. There's a couple that were pretty short and quick. I think we just did the. We do it just to accept the donation.
Oh yeah. So I don't
So
know.
that was January 20th. I think that was accept the donation and close. And the last one, I think the April one was a very short one.
January was canceled.
Just about.
January 13th.
January, I think we had, January 20th we had one.
January 20th.
January 4th was.
Oh, that was the
4th?
donation one. So we called that one special for that donation to accept it.
Alright, January 4th.
No, January 4th was canceled. January 20th,
Yeah.
we called a meeting just to accept the.
Okay,
I don't think I
January
was-
13th was
I
canceled.
Was I here at that meeting? The second was the 20th.
It does not say attendance.
Doesn't say who was here.
No.
It was a Zoom meeting, so I know I wasn't there.
I wasn't either.
Well, I think we did it up at the town hall. I think we did it up at the town hall, and that's why they call it a Zoom meeting. Because we had it up there so that people could call in if they wanted to.
I know we had a quick meeting. I
Yeah.
don't recall the details of it, but it was just to accept the donation. We opened it, accepted, and closed.
Yeah,
I'll go back
I
to
think we
mine.
did it up there.
That was the January 20th one.
January
Yeah.
20th,
And
yeah.
I think Bob Menard was even there.
So we're gonna have to go through and see who was here, because obviously we can't all vote if I wasn't here, you were here.
Yeah.
I know,
Oh,
we got
we can't put it off.
February
because he's
1st.
done.
Colin
I know,
and Keith
but
were here.
we gotta figure out who was here and
So the December one
Well,
was.
it's just the January one. All the others are labeled who was here and who wasn't. So it's only the January 20th one.
Yeah, so
March 1st was
December
Colin.
was Bob and
Colin and
Colin.
I. They're all printed marked.
February was Keith and Colin.
okay.
March
April
was
1st,
Colin
and I were here.
and Josie. And April was Colin and Josie. So if you want to skip the January one till I get that clarification, Keith and Colin can do the February one, and then it's Bob and Colin for the other three.
Yeah, we can, well, Colin and I can do December 14th.
Yeah, December, March, and April.
Yeah, we'll just go through one at a time then.
Alright, so if we do the, make a motion to approve December 14th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Alright, I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Alright.
January 4th was canceled. January 13th.
February 1st is Keith and Colin.
January 20th.
January 20th.
That's the one at the Zoom, so I gotta get clarification on that.
Alright.
Skip that one.
Skip that.
February 1st. And Keith were here.
There we go.
You'll have to find out about the January 20th because at February
Yeah.
1st, we made the motion.
Yeah, I see that in this one.
Yep. So that January 20th one may have been canceled for some reason.
Well, we had more than one donation, so
Well, that's, yeah,
we'll
That's
verify
true.
that too.
yeah.
So we're gonna pass on February until you get that clear?
No,
On the
no, it's
donation?
January 20th.
No, the February one's correct.
February
I'm
one's
just
correct.
saying the January one, there may have been a different donation.
Yeah,
We got,
may have been that other
I
donation.
think there was 3 donation accounts that we had set up.
So I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from February 1st.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
March 1st. Myself and Colin.
Oh, a quick note based on that meeting minutes, we got one generator in Friday. The one for,
Calibrated for the generators?
yeah, the one for primary came in Friday.
Oh, good.
Although they called today and said they were gonna put the, process the invoice on the credit card on file, which was Steve's. For $27,000.
That would have ruined his vacation.
With a motion to approve March 1st, 2022.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, that was a quick one.
That was a long meeting.
Yeah. I make a motion to, accept April 1st, 2022 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think there's a lot more. And that was
I didn't see-
that was the whole budget meeting.
It was 3 hours. And
There's only one line.
And we're all set on that, you're gonna check on that Zoom meeting.
Yep.
Alrighty, how about project updates then?
All right, so you're all aware that the first part of the project is pretty much done. All the pipes are done, everything's up and live. We ran a flow test down at the end, and it was, I think, over 4,000 gallons a minute.
Oh, wow, nice.
So it was better than we anticipated, and you know what we anticipated was what they needed, and we exceeded that, so that was good.
That's good, yeah.
So as part of that project, we added a few extra hydrants going down Gilboa Street from what we had originally, even though 2 out of the 3 didn't work.
I know.
Now they're all operational, so we won't have that issue like last time when the fire department wanted to get on the hydrant and had to go in the river instead. So all those hydrants are live and active. The hydrant right over here is one of the eye hydrants. So we installed one there. We installed one at the top of North Street, right at the entrance of North Village. And we installed one at the, over on Northwest Main, that new hydrant that we put in at the end.
What do you call them?
An eye hydrant.
What is that about?
So that's monitoring the pressure and the temperature of the water 24/7.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh,
So we just got them all activated. So now we can monitor the pressures. If you look at a quick glance, you can see the highs and lows for the pressures. But it measures, I want to say it was like 264 readings per second. And then it averages those and gives you what the high and low was for that second. And then you can determine how many, you can kind of set the parameters if you want it once every second or 5 seconds, or there's a whole bunch of different things you can play around there with. But it will also, we can set up so that if it sees a spike or a span between us, like say a 10 psi spike or drop, we can have it send an alarm. If it we can set parameters in there for above or below a certain pressure. If it exceeds or drops below those, it can send an alarm. So there's a whole bunch that we can do with it, but we want to kind of get the data to stabilize first and see if we have frequent little spikes here and there, and we kind of want to be outside that parameter, out of the normal consistent little spikes, and then we'll set what our parameters are. So if somebody gets on a hydrant, we'll kind of notice right away there'll be a spike in it, and it'll notify us that way. If we're here, we can run around and see if somebody's on a hydrant that shouldn't be in that area, or if we see a rapid drop and it stays drop, we know to probably send someone because there's probably a water main break or something going on. So I think that'll be a good addition to get a good feel for the distribution system and what the peaks and valleys are for pressure. So
That's good.
and it'll help us get ahead of it, so we're not waiting until the cop sees it or everybody starts calling that there's no water pressure. So if we can catch a leak before it gets to that point, we might.
So it send an alarm.
Right, it'll send an alarm and we can respond to it quickly.
Good.
So
What's one of those cost?
so for normal hydrants, like it's about double a normal hydrant, but you can buy a retro kit, so you can buy just a kit to go in any of our existing, as long as they're a certain style. They cover most of the brands except for the one that we were using for the first half of when I started, and before I started they were using that Darling hydrant. they don't make the kit for that.
Yeah.
But all the ones that we've been using for the last 5 years or so.
Yeah. So as long as it's placed strategically.
Right, and that's it. I only want a
Yeah.
few, probably
Yeah.
2 in each pressure zone. So we have 2 down here, and at some point I may move them when we upgrade some of the hydrants. So I'd like to get 1 more up that end of town. That way we have 2, and it kind of, I think that's enough to cover anything that's going to go on in these areas. So.
Good.
So the other project we finally did through a lot of conversations and meetings and everything else. We managed to get them to agree to not the 30-day posting for the next phase of the project, and agree to our standard 2-week posting. Because if we had to do the 30-day, it would have put us outside of this construction season. We're still pushing it, hoping we can get it in for this part of the construction season, so we can at least get, Gilboa Street done on the sewer portion. The pump station will probably take a little longer because that has to be built, and it's a
But that'll
package system.
Oh, they can do that in off-season, couldn't they?
Yeah, so we just want to get all the road work done so they can sit through a winter. I'm not sure on the northeast main, water main. I'll push for it. We'll see if we can get it done. Depending on who the contractor is, that shouldn't take long. 2,600 feet. If they can average 300 or 400 feet a day, because they can just lay that main. It should be quick. It's not like they got to set up bypasses or any of that because it's going to go on the other side of the street. So they should be able to rip right through without slowing down too much. So we'll
And
push
that
for
one-
it, but
That one's almost set to go with the bid.
it went out. So we
Went up.
submitted last Wednesday or last Thursday to get it in for this week's. So it'll be listed in the Central Register, Combis and Project Dog. I think it went out this afternoon. It should have went out on Project Dog this afternoon, so it'll be everywhere tomorrow. And then there's a 2-week period, so I think the bid opening would be, I want to say the 21st. Not Thursday. 2 weeks from Thursday.
And
sewer
that's for
one's
water
already
main
out?
extension.
That's for the sewer.
So,
The sewer force main from the Blackstone Valley Logistics to the new pump station. There's some gravity sewer there from like where the old Lackey Dam Road is. Three sewer manholes for gravity feed. A valve chamber, and then a sewer force main from the new pump station all the way down to just before it starts or just to where it starts gravity. That manhole right at the end of the guardrail, just after Goodwin's.
Yep.
Buckham is now, I guess.
Yep.
And the pump station. And then in that project is also the 2,800 feet of.
so it's gonna be one project.
This is all one project. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the pump station look like? It's above ground?
No, so it's a package pump station. It'll be similar to Davis Street. So it'll have the submersible pumps on rails. The valve chamber and everything will be a separate vault. So it'll be separate from the. Actually, I probably have a set of plans right over here somewhere.
But no more man having to go down, right?
Right. Yeah, there'll be nothing that we have to enter on a regular
Will
basis.
there be a crane or?
Yeah, so there'll be a standby generator.
Yeah.
So that'll have its own backup generator. There'll be a panel, and it should be set up so that we can remove the pumps without. They're on rails, so you wouldn't have to go in.
Yeah.
And it'll be a paved driveway on that side over there.
Now, where is that going roughly?
Essentially, where the existing is, just move towards the dam a little bit, because they've got to install that while the other one's still active. So it's going to be tight, but that's the plan.
That one's gonna be just as deep too, right?
Most likely, yeah. That's right about 20 feet deep. So. And that'll kind of wrap up this project. So it's fine. It's good that we finally got it out to bid. That was a long, tedious process.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you have Bob got your ear, but but he's he's very, very diligent.
Yeah, he's doing a heck of a job, that's for sure.
So
So the gas is still coming though too, then.
he's going tomorrow to meet with people on that.
Yeah.
Still trying to push for that to hopefully get it in this fall.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's part of that.
That'll,
It's part of this, but it's outside of our scope. That's on them.
And how far is he looking to run that? All the way to this intersection?
All the way to Main Street.
All the way to Main Street? Over
Oh,
this
through
bridge?
Main Street?
Yep.
Oh, I thought.
All the way up to Main Street.
Oh, up to Main Street.
Yeah.
That's what I
So
thought.
on North Street up to Main.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's supposed to end.
too bad they can't run it all the way through town.
I'm sure that's the end game,
Yeah.
but you know, went as far as we could to
Yeah. I
push
know.
getting where we needed to.
Yeah.
So
At least that'll cover everything.
that was
Just
justified
start-
based
start.
on the potential users.
Yeah.
But I'm sure once we get to that point and you have the franchise in Douglas, then
It'll-
it's just a matter of time. I mean, if the gas company's anything like me, they would want to, you know, I'd probably shoot up through Gleason Court or something and down through the schools. So you pick up the schools, go down to Davis Street, and then over to Uxbridge and create a loop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we gotta follow the buck, whatever, you know, the
yeah, I mean,
the biggest buck.
and I'd look at going down Charles Street too off of this,
Yeah.
you know, tee off here while they're going by here. You can go down Charles Street and shoot up Davis Street too. But I'm sure the gas company has people that look at all that.
Oh,
So.
yeah. they figure
Oh,
it out.
yeah.
Nice.
Now, what happens if that don't go out before winter?
For what doesn't? The gas?
Hmm.
I don't see an issue with it being in the spring. And they've got some
Yeah,
holdups
but
on
they're
their
talking
end.
about, you know, paving curb to curb.
Yeah, so that's the biggest issue is the paving. You know, we want to make sure everything settles, so it's preferable to let it go through a winter. I don't know. I guess you'd want to oversee it and make sure they get good compaction rates coming through. So if they, you know, like I said, it's outside of my scope, but you know, I'd probably
We're not going very deep with that anyways.
3 feet.
3 feet.
Yeah,
And
it's
most
enough
of it's
that you
in
can
the
get some
ditch.
settling. But.
Seems like they always try to put it in a ditch anyway.
Yeah, except when we laid it out, because we got the sewer on one side and the water on the other, the plan was to come down the middle. I would have preferred to have them try to go in the sidewalk. You know, then they're out of the road and out of the way, and less issues with digging things up, especially coming down Gilboa. There's nothing on this side except for Buchan's house that would need gas. So if they put it in the sidewalk, you know, then we get in your sidewalk and that'd be done. But,
Well, that would seem to be the ideal place.
yeah. So I don't know. That'll all be worked out through EverSource's engineers. But yeah, ideally we'd get it installed this fall before winter. But
Now, I gotta run a new force main up there too, right? That's all part of that project.
the force main for the sewer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming up. Gilboa.
Yes.
But that won't handle 4-inch, huh? 4-inch won't handle that?
That's what's going in.
Yeah, but you said you're gonna run a new 6-inch.
That's from the pump station down. Because it's our pump station is supposed to put out like almost 400 gallons a minute. Because you got, you know, it's not just the Blackstone Valley. You've got the 1 million square
yeah.
foot, potentially 2.8 million square foot. So you've got, you know, 3, 4, almost
Mhm.
you know, 4.5 million square feet of warehouse. So you want to kind of design for maximum build out. We don't want to build it and then turn around in
Yeah.
a year and a half and say, oh crap, we got to build a whole new one because this doesn't handle it. So that was kind of the
I haven't seen the plans yet, but somebody was saying that that building's 3,000 feet long.
I think so, yeah. It's 1 million square feet. That's a big building. Have you seen the other one?
That's gonna require at least 10 bathrooms. Gotta have them every 300 feet.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen the Blackstone Valley one?
The one on the other side of 146?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge, yeah.
That's half the size of this one. So,
How many bathrooms are in that one down there?
one. It's one for now. It's a spec building, so once they figure out who the tenant is,
Yeah, they know.
then they'll design what they
I
need.
guess they're gonna run lines out and cement over them, and whenever they lease them out
Cut
or
it
rent them
out,
out, they'll cut it out.
Yeah.
But right now, there's only one bathroom, and that's in
It's in
Douglas.
Douglas. Yeah.
7% of the building, we got one bathroom in Douglas.
Yeah.
Nice. That's good.
So that's-
been a busy year. You've done.
Yeah.
You guys did well.
So that's that. We also have we have a lot of the sewer stuff going on. I don't know if you guys have seen the work going on around town and the sewer stuff. So we did
Oh,
smoke testing.
yeah.
So I'm sure you at least got the notifications and
Yeah.
found out if your attic smoked up, attic or basement. We only had a few. So the smoke testing's done.
Oh, that's all done now?
Yeah, they did the whole town. So I haven't seen the report yet, but you know that's completed.
Yeah.
The asset management will be starting up soon, so that's another part of the sewer portion right now. I'm also going to apply for the water asset management. See if we can get that one done as well. Then there's also I had a conference call today to do a lead service line inventory. So the DEP is really pushing the whole lead service line stuff. We don't have any lead service lines, but we had lead goosenecks. So when we applied for the SRF, I don't know if I told you guys that when we applied for the SRF, when I was talking to the engineers, I said, well, they could potentially all be lead goosenecks going up Main Street, that project that we wanted to do there. So they put it in that we had 176 lead goosenecks.
Oh, really?
So then the state called me saying, wait a minute, we've just been notified that you got all these. And I'm like, well, we don't know. I said, they're potentially. So that turned into a big
Is that the camera? The camera
show.
on
So, well,
There's no way.
they called up arguing that we needed to pick those as sites to do our lead and copper sampling. I said, well, I'm not going to pick those because I don't know if they're lead goosenecks. I said, so I know we have lead solder at all the sites that we pick. So that I can certify saying, yes, I verified this.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to pick a site. If you want to pick a site, feel free and I'll sample it. But when it turns out that they replaced it in 1995 and it's plastic and you're getting 0 for results, I don't want you coming back yelling at me.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, you have to figure out if they're there. I'm like, well, I can tell you the highway superintendent, the town administrator, the selectmen, and probably my board aren't going to be too happy if I start driving down the road digging up holes in all the roads to find out what the service line is or what I said, because and they said, oh, well, you can tell if it's a iron service going in the house. And even on this project, we dug up some lines that it had iron service over here, so we thought it'd have a lead gooseneck, but then all of a sudden it changed to plastic. And it was new all the way back to the main, so there was no lead gooseneck. Then we had plastic line going in, and there was a lead gooseneck. And then we had a copper line that was copper. You start pulling out, then there was plastic, then there was iron. So I'm like, you have no idea what's
Yeah,
there.
I know
And
that figure out,
it's whatever they did for the repair, or
Yep.
you might have had a leak and they replaced main to curb, or they had a leak and you replaced curb to house. I said, there's
Yeah, you'll never-
no way to tell unless you dig it out.
Yeah.
So they have the meeting I had today. They're gonna put together a proposal, and I think they asked and I said, look, I know they're pushing to do basement inspections and see what's inside the house. I said we do that every time we change a meter. We write down what the service type is. I said so I have all that. We don't really have to do that. It's not beneficial because no matter what's in the basement, it doesn't tell you what's out there.
That's outside, yeah.
So
2 feet
I've just
change
seen,
over.
I've had them where they change right outside
Yeah.
the foundation. So they're like, well, how do you change or what do you do? Do you change the service line to a house if you dig it up or you have a leak or something? I said, well, it's on the customer. If they don't want to do it, if we dig up our side and we change this, and then the customers, we might recommend that they change it, but, they gotta pay for that, so, we can't force them to change it. But we don't have any lead service lines, so any lead goosenecks would be on our side anyway. And we can't find that unless we dig it up to the main, which is in the road. I'm not gonna drive down the road and dig up the whole road. I said, and the other problem with that is, if I dig it up and find it, I'm not gonna leave it there, so I'm gonna replace it. So you basically want me to go change all the service connections in town. I'm like, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So we got them to agree to it, but so the engineering firm that they dealt with today, we're gonna look at it and come up with a plan. So they might do some vacuum excavations at curb boxes and see what's on each side of the curb. So that'll give you a better idea. And if you've got iron coming into the curb box, then chances are it's a lead gooseneck.
So when they did, not to interrupt, but when they did the Main Street line, back when they did the high school, would that be documented of when it was changed over?
Well, when they did the Main Street line, they put new main to curbs,
Yeah, but
so there won't be any lead goosenecks there.
Yeah, but that's only to Franklin Street, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But everywhere we have ductile
It
iron
goes up, yeah, it
mains,
goes up Franklin, I think too, right? No, they did that. That was another project.
Yeah,
Well-
they came all the way from Tank down.
Tank down, yeah.
yeah, so from the Franklin Street tank down to Main Street, all of Main Street, well, from Franklin to basically to Davis, all the way to the high school, is all new ductile.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And we're going to replace Northeast Main, so that'll be new ductile. We replaced North and Gilboa, so that's all ductile. So going up North Street, we probably have some. Over on, B Street, A Street, Manchog, there's probably some over in that area. But I don't know which ones were changed before I got here. So anything that was changed after, 60s probably doesn't have a lead gooseneck. So that's part of that whole program. We'll go and look at the age of the mains and all that, age of the houses when the services were put in. I explained to them that too. They're like, oh, we can look at building permits and stuff. I said, well, first, they don't write down what was in the street.
Building permits never even came into us
That's what I said. And
until like the early 70s. I
right.
think.
So any of those shouldn't have it, but you also don't know if when they ran the main, they said, oh, here's a lot, so stub it off. So they could have stubbed for a building, which would have a lead gooseneck, and then they didn't build it for 15, 20 years. And now you're building it thinking, oh, well, this is outside the time that you would have. So I said, so that's useless. And building permit doesn't tell you what the main to curb is anyway.
Right.
Yeah. The zoning took effect in 1970, so I imagine the building permits were probably
Right around there, yeah. Yeah, so, they come up with all these suggestions on how to do it, but I'm like, you're just guessing. So without physically seeing it, you don't know. So they're going to give me a proposal. I'm guessing it's going to be in the $150,000 range. But the state's saying that if you apply for it through an SRF project, that'll be 100% principal forgiveness. So that work that we get done would be free. We just have to front it and then get reimbursed. So
Yeah, fair enough.
So I don't know if you guys want to agree to move forward on that now, because I do need to get an article for town meeting for September 12th. But like I said, with the assumption that it's going to be 100% principal forgiveness. That's the only way I'd want to move forward with it, because I wouldn't want to spend money on something I think is useless. But
Yeah, they said SRF funding we're gonna pay back.
no, but it's 100% principal forgiveness.
Yeah.
So that means we get a loan through SRF and we have to fund it, but then they reimburse you and it's essentially free. And you guys all know my opinion on the SRF stuff.
I know.
And
Spend a lot of money on it.
so I don't keep it a secret, but this is one of those where it should be free, and it also sets us up for potential additional funding if it comes to the point that there's a replacement program or funding for construction end of it. If you don't do this now, I think that it'll probably take you out of the running for any potential funding for future stuff. And they're not going to back off this lead stuff. So
Providing it's, like I said, it's principal forgiveness.
right.
We're gonna make it do its thing.
Can we write that into the article?
what kind of, what would you be looking for? Do you have a hard number, what? they're
I
gonna-
don't yet. I just
So-
met with them today. I went over the approach that I wanted to take. They said by Friday they'll give me a,
Okay. And when is
proposal.
when's the warrant close?
September 12th, so next week.
September 12th. So, how do we, what's your recommendation?
Well, I'll put a placeholder in.
Okay,
I'll get a firm number. I'll let you guys know. And I mean, worst case scenario, we pull it to town meeting floor. But like I said, I think we'd be foolish not to move forward with it.
Oh, all right, so we can put it in if we don't agree with it.
Right.
Okay,
If there's
well-
something at some point that you guys don't agree with, we can pull it.
okay.
So I mean, you
And
guys,
this is just a study, right? This isn't the actual replacement, or is this?
no replacement. This is just locating and identifying as much as we can. Because if we trigger over the action level, then they're going to require us. I think the new language was 3% of what you've identified as either unknown or potential or definitely lead. So if I say unknown on half the system and we trigger an action level and it says we have to replace 3%, so that's 3% of half the system. So if we have 1,000, 500, we'd have to replace 150.
Mhm.
15, yeah. So it's not a ton, but the lower we can get the unknown number, the less we'd have to replace if we triggered something. But it's also one of those things where if we can, and like I said, I already narrowed down a lot of what we would have to do.
It's kind of one of those things, you want to do it or you don't, but then they're gonna, if you don't do it,
Right.
like I said, you're out of the running for any.
You're out of the running for the funding,
Right, and
and if we trigger,
they're gonna make.
the
you do
cost
it.
is gonna be a lot more, and we won't have the funding for it, we'll have to fund it all.
So catch 22.
Yeah,
It is, yeah. Same with all their things.
but I mean, if there is lead, we want to identify it, so.
Right.
we-
And that's one of the things I was just about to say was, you know, if John's identifying a road that he's gonna pave, like I would have replaced Manchog Street, at least that main section, if I had known they were gonna pave, but we got 2 weeks' notice that they were paving.
Oh,
So I'm like, oh, what the heck, because I know we got some iron services over there, and I wouldn't wanna leave iron services in on a newly paved road. So you'd at least wanna change
Where is
main to
it?
curb
From where they.
Manchog Street, when they did the state highway.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Oh, yeah.
that's all the Manchog to the Mechanic Street Bridge. So they told us, yeah, we're paving in 2 weeks. We're like, so we went out and did what we could, but
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
we couldn't, and we know we had that break over there.
Yeah.
That was this pipe that
oh
we
yeah.
had that long lateral
Yeah.
break when the fire department was playing in the ball field.
Oh, that'd involve changing the whole main down here.
That's what I would have wanted to do,
And I can't.
but it's not. That wasn't a long section, so you know it's not a terrible project. I mean, it could have went pretty quick, but it's just why would you leave an old pipe that you've already had a break on, a pretty serious break on, when you're putting brand new asphalt down? You're taking the chance in, you know, a month all of a sudden you have another break. Now you screw up all the new road. You know, it was like Cemetery Street. John was planning on paving that. That was his next road. So we said, well, before you pave it, let's get that main replaced. We know the valve's bad. We know
Right.
the main's no good. So if we identify that there's lead goosenecks in a certain road and he plans on paving it, it'd probably be beneficial to try to plan for that and see if we can replace the main before he does any paving. So,
So, I agree with I think, do we need a vote on a hard number, do you think, or do you,
I don't think you really need to vote to put it on as an article.
okay. What is it, I'm just thinking if there's money associated with it.
I know
Is
you usually
that-
have to vote
yeah.
on the dollar number. I just
Yeah.
want to get more of a consensus that you want me to move forward with it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, consensus, I
I'll-
think. So.
So I'll put the article on the warrant. And like I said, we'll have another meeting before we get to, you know, we'll have the October meeting. The town meeting's not till November.
Mhm.
We'll probably have a November meeting before town meeting too. And
Yeah, we can get a number at that point. then-
right, so I'll have a number for you Friday.
Okay, yeah,
And that way you guys can think about it.
Yeah,
I'll send you out the copies of the proposal so you see what's involved.
yeah.
And if you wanna pull it in October, I'll pull it, but I don't wanna miss the opportunity.
No, we certainly don't wanna miss it.
So-
And I think, like I said, we should identify if there are.
Yeah.
Like who's next.
Should we set up a special meeting and go over it, or? No?
I don't think so. Like I said, I'll put the placeholder in so we have it. Get you the numbers so you can all review it before we get to that point. I just need the placeholder by September 12th.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So that's another project that's going on. Like I said, I put in for the SRF for the asset management on the water side, like we did for the wastewater side. I mentioned that at the last meeting we had too. So we're also doing the engineering for the water and sewer down Davis Street. That was that site readiness grant that we got. So they're in the process of getting that engineering done. We also, to extend and loop Monroe and all that stuff. We also put in for a grant to try to do a MassWorks grant to do the engineering for North Street. So from Gilboa up to the end. So we put in for a grant to try to get the design for that. That we already passed the 100,000 from the town to do the match to get that done. So we're all set if we get the MassWorks grant. We just move forward with that. Part of that is the storage tank up top. We're kind of hoping to get that done sooner than later. If we can get that done before that's a full viable project, we'll still get the benefit of that now, having a separate storage tank here. So if anything happened on that end of town, or either of the tanks at that end went down, we'd have another supply for fire protection for these massive warehouses. So
And you're still thinking like a golf ball tank out there?
yeah. I think the complicated part of that one is going to be that tank has to be about 110 feet tall in order to match the elevation of the Franklin Street tank. You drive up here, you'd think that's way higher than driving up to Franklin Street, but
No, it's not.
no, this is,
Wow.
yeah, that's like 60
That's
feet
deceiving.
higher than up here. It is, it's very deceiving, because you like driving uphill. Here it's like, oh no, you got Main Street, and it's just kind of,
Just breaks it all up to get up.
yeah. So,
So the
very
engineer-
deceiving.
That, you said there was 100,000 of town in there?
The town voted at the last meeting
Okay.
and approved 100,000 match from the town to 500,000 for the MassWorks. So we applied for the MassWorks. We haven't heard on it yet.
Is that town, on the town side or?
Yeah.
Enterprise?
No, town side.
Town side.
You definitely wouldn't be questioning it if because you would have voted on it if we were doing it.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Making sure. I was like, did we vote on that? I couldn't remember we voted on it.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to think.
I mean, that's a benefit to the town as far as fire protection goes.
Yeah.
How many thousands of gallons would that tank be?
Going back and forth with the engineers keep saying 500,000, and I don't want 500,000. I'd rather shoot for probably around 300,000.
That's a lot.
250, 300,000, I think. I'll do the math. So far, what I came up with was right around 250, so between 250 and 300, based on fire flows for 2 hours at the rates that they would need for these buildings. Like I said, that's the main purpose of the tank up there, is to handle fire suppression in this area. It kind of gives us would also give us the ability to, if we had to take the Franklin Street tank down for maintenance or whatever, we would be able to operate off of that, and nobody would even know the difference. It would be a seamless transition. So, but I don't want to go too big a storage up there, and then we're getting old water.
Stagnant water, right.
Yeah, we don't want old stagnant water, and I don't want, if I've got 1 million gallons over here and 500,000 up there, I got 1.5 million gallons. I'm trying to, fill and drain every day. So, that's a lot of work for the pumps to try to turn over that volume. So, I've already gone back and forth with the engineers. I'm gonna have to show me something that justifies going to a 500,000 gallon tank as opposed to a 250 or a 300. Because a golf ball tank, and that's all usable volume. You know, we've got a 750,000 gallon tank over there that is only half usable. So, you know, why not go half the size and have it all usable as opposed to
Right.
So why would that not be usable on that elevation?
Yeah, so once we get down to about half the tank level, now you lose pressure to everybody. Because it's acting as your pressure. If I drain it down to ground level,
Oh, there's no head pressure.
there's no head pressure for anyone in Eagles View or anything else. So that's why I would prefer a golf ball, because you can get better turnover. You're not letting that water, you know,
Makes sense.
you got half the tank that you just add in diluting. So it's not a true turnover. So, and if you have a golf ball, you know, you don't have that issue of stratification or anything else, because in a tank like that, like I said, you're only using half the tank. So in warm weather, that warm water just sits up top, and you're just, the bottom water is going in and out. So tanks like those, you really should have a mixer in them. We don't, but just to keep the water circulating, you know, so you don't get that stratification. So we would alleviate that with a golf ball tank, because that water will be coming in and it gets a lot better turnover. So.
How come when we did the pump station, the tank on Franklin Street, we didn't go to a golf ball?
Because I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Well, did they have the technology at that point? I mean, how long, that was when?
Yeah, that was mid-90s. So
Was it mid-90s?
Yeah, mid-90s. They had golf balls.
they had that all
Did
over
they?
the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are easier and probably a little cheaper.
To build.
Yeah.
That's probably what the reason was.
Yeah. Knowing that board back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you say it's easier and cheaper, but in the long run, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was there one before that tank? Was there
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
That was,
what's that?
okay. I was gonna say, I thought there was
1909.
was
when you said that 95, I'm like, I thought I
Yeah,
remember
when I
one.
was brick
Yeah,
and
so
coal.
that was the
No, that was the
original
that was
storage
the plaque
tank.
off the original tank.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you replaced the original tank with that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a much smaller one.
Yeah.
And it was off to the side, I believe.
I remember seeing the tank.
Like where that is, I think if you're looking at it from Franklin Street, I think it was off to the back right.
Not by much.
No, it was pretty close.
Yeah. Because I painted it.
Yeah, because they kept that one up until they built this one and then switched over. Off the top of my head, I think that's it for projects that I could think of right now.
Does that pretty much wind up the update on projects?
Yeah, I think so.
Very good, thank you.
So end of year wrap up, I did not finish that. I was supposed to meet with Gene today, but all hell broke loose this morning, so
Okay.
that tied me up. And actually, after we finish, I gotta take that board that's on the counter out there and go replace the board up at Glen Street, so, so I can get that back up and running. Because we fried the control panel on that. So. But we had a spare here, so I'll go do that after this. So end of year wrap up, I should have done with Gene tomorrow. I want to say it was just ballpark number. Don't hold me to it. I want to say it was 126,000 or something going back to retained earnings. So we kind of came in right on target for budget wise.
What did you say it's going back in return earnings?
I want to say 126,000, but I don't have the solid number. And it's 126,000 going into the retained earnings that we use. There's additional that's going into system development, but we've all agreed to keep that separate, even though we could lump it all together. But
For
anyway,
accounting purposes, it's good.
exactly. It's just
But it's still the same.
for so
Same.
there's an additional, I want to say 160 or so going into that. So
On the system development.
yeah. Less on the sewer, more on the water. So I want to say it was 100. I want to say 120 and 40, something like that on the water and sewer.
Good.
Yeah, so that's that was a decent. We had a lot of connections and stuff going on last year. So that was good, and we should have a lot more this year too. So the big connections on these
Sure,
warehouses.
I helped out with my $9,000 water bill, huh?
Well, yeah, that's part of the.
It's good revenue there, Bob.
That's why the revenue was up so high on this facility. You paid for all the bypass stuff.
Right, I did.
All those eye hydrants.
Yeah. Actually, that was the grant paid for those.
Better this month.
Yeah. I think you were on target for a decent.
Yeah, I think you said that.
Yeah, reorg. I think we forgot to do that last time, or no, everyone wasn't here.
Yeah, we didn't have,
Yeah,
it's kind of,
You gotta reorganize already?
you were supposed
Well,
to do
we're
it
supposed
after
to in
the
May.
after the vote, after town election. I don't think we've had a full board
yeah.
since town election.
No,
so.
we probably haven't.
I would,
You guys wanna do?
make a motion to, keep all the same seats.
Second.
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's easy enough.
That would be,
Yeah. That was easy.
Thought Bob might want a new title, you know, the Supreme Commander or something.
yeah, after 40 years, you get a different, you get a next
Different title. Alright, what's this private hydrant discussion?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure.
Private hydrant discussion.
I'm guessing Steve added that, or requested to add it to the meeting. I did not have time to discuss it with him as to what he was getting at.
Yeah,
Want to pass till you
Well,
have
I think-
opportunity?
I think part of it is that there's a lot of private hydrants that have not been billed for,
really?
and yeah. I don't
Now,
think
who would have a private
I don't think
hydrant?
we've ever billed Eagles View for all the hydrants that are up there. Those are all private.
Oh,
Probably all condos. Probably the ones up
Yeah, so on Charles Street
condo.
there, and it's in our billing structure to bill for them. It's never been billed. So I think
Have we maintained those?
the Schuster, no, we don't maintain them.
You don't?
We've told them that they need to have someone come maintain them. So I think that was, I know me and Steve had discussed that, you know, because he was asking how we did that. And I says, well, you know, we tell them to maintain them, or we can give them a price and we'll come in and maintain them.
Yeah, those things are probably plug solid up there.
Yeah, I mean, Eagles View, I know that that's a nightmare from the discussions that I've had with people that know what went on up there, because when they put those hydrants in, I guess was before they came in and redesigned, and then they
Brought the road up.
brought the road and everything up. So instead of doing like an extension, like a 3-foot extension, they did like 3 1 foot or 3
Yeah.
half foot and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So they get a whole bunch of extensions with the unions on each one of them. So it's going to be like a slinky trying to use those hydrants. So
Oh, man.
I mean, what typically if you do 3 1-foot extensions, you would get a 3-foot extension bar with only the 2 unions, so you're connecting back without having. I don't know if you guys have ever done it. I know I've done it with, you know, you put 4 or 5 unions and you're trying to use a ratchet with a bunch of unions on it. You need like
it doesn't work.
4 hands to try to hold it, but you can have
Well,
that same issue in the hydrant.
in other words, nobody's been maintaining them. Nobody's been flushing them.
Correct.
We haven't flushed them.
No, and you know we've told them a few times over the past few years that, you know, you need to get someone to come in and
Yeah, but I think
And
we've
do
sent
all
them
that.
letters. We've sent
Yeah.
them letters, I think, on
so.
informing them about that.
Yeah, so we're gonna, I think that's part of the discussion, is we need to really push forward on doing that. I mean, especially with these other buildings going up, we wanna make sure we're kinda even across the board. We
Mhm.
do the same for everyone.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that wasn't being taken care of.
Yeah, so, and then I think one of the questions he had was, do we bill that once a year, or is it each billing cycle?
I think there's, in the condo, in the condo section in the front, I think there's, I think there's two there, I think. Get the one going down on the left, then you have down, when you go to the right, there's one to the right.
You look right behind you, you probably see how many are there.
On the amount of hydrants.
This is Eagles View here, so
Okay.
that's that first one in
Yeah,
between.
yeah, that's that one.
Then that one over
yeah,
there.
Yeah, and then
And
this is
there's
all,
Here,
yeah, this is all
Yeah,
the
and this
mall.
one's in the guy's yard, cause he painted it himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
so
I'll just paint
the
that.
so the condos only
Give
have, the
them a label.
condos have two, and the villas have the 1, 2, 3, 4, right, 5,
That's all one association, right?
6, yeah,
Yeah.
plans over
I think the villas have their own.
there. Yeah. The villas
Yeah.
have their own association, and the Eagle View has their own association, the condos.
Right, so, we gotta figure out what we wanna do up in areas like that, so.
And I think if we send another letter, it should be certified, so we got
I'm
evidence
just
that they
wondering,
were
I mean,
notified.
who's
There's
gonna
also-
be held responsible for that if something happens and you don't get the fire flow?
Well, it's a private complex, that's on them.
So what about like the
So
North
North
Village?
Village, that's another one.
Yeah.
Schuster has a hydrant up there. Or the, it's
Yeah.
Riley, but Schuster,
Yeah.
the Schuster mansion. Eagles View, Schuster, Charles, North Village. There's some at the new Blackstone Valley. They've got them all around the building.
Mhm.
There'll be several around the building over here.
Is there one down at Riddlebrook?
Riddlebrook. I believe there is, yeah. So Riddlebrook would have one. Steve was gonna check, cause we discussed if there was one going up through GBI. There might be one up in there, I don't recall.
I've seen one up there or not.
Yeah, I don't remember.
What about Hayward? Is there anything
Hayward
down-
has a couple, yeah.
Down back, they got a couple down there.
Well, when they put their new fire line in,
Yeah,
fire department wanted to add two or three hydrants over there. So they have a few. Cook Street has a couple. So, yeah. So like I said, I think we needed to decide if it was every billing cycle or if that was an annual fee, and then if the fee is appropriate, and how you wanted to handle that. I mean,
so what would the fee, I guess, if we're gonna get into that, what is the fee for? Like, what is the benefit of the
So-
the fee?
part of the problem with a fire hydrant is people use them. If they got street sweepers going in there, they'll use them. So that's water that's not being billed. So that fee is to kind of pay for things like that.
Okay. So are we gonna be, by charging a fee, are we saying we're gonna maintain those?
Right. And that
And
was
then
the other part of
and replace them?
that's part of what I would want to discuss is, I mean, the fee that we currently have in place for it wouldn't cover maintaining and replacing.
Or do we just say that,
I would think it would be a time and material. I mean, we can go out and inspect and flush.
or do you just simply say, since it's private, that they just provide us
Documentation.
certification that they've been
Right.
flushed and meet the, whatever the flows are and.
Yeah, but if they're gonna flush, we would need to be notified.
Right.
So that we know they're doing it properly, and we probably wanna send someone out, to monitor it. For one, so they're just not wasting water for no
Would it be
reason.
up, could we go and do that ourselves and bill them for that? Like
We could, that was part of this discussion, is do we set up a fee structure that, we'll come out and do it, but it's gonna be X amount. And if
I
it's
think that's what should be done, because that way there, we know it's gonna be done.
Right, and if it's repairs, I would say those should be done time and material. Just because you don't know what you're gonna get into, and, if we gotta replace a hydrant, like I said, a hydrant now is, $2,500 to $3,000.
I'm a little leery on getting up to your waist deep, and then now what about the lines in the road, and if we're saying we're gonna maintain that and take care of that, are we,
Right, yeah.
are we
Well, like
owning
we,
the?
yeah, like we got into the repair down on that hydrant, just for example, on Gilboa, and then we ended up this isn't even, we're not even gonna get into this.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And then you
Cut it out.
abandon it now to service,
Right,
for, you know, I think that was out of service about 2 years before, now we got
I
new
think
line.
that,
Yeah. So now we get into a private thing. I mean, I think I'd be more on board with forcing them to present us with a
Certification.
report.
And then we
Forcing them into
witness,
doing it.
right,
Yeah.
and then we witness go up there and,
Yeah.
you know, witness with them.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And it keeps it
Separate,
keep
yeah.
it completely separate.
Almost like the backflow preventer thing. That
Yeah.
somebody, an outside person comes in and,
Yeah, we could do that though, it's just not worth it for us, cause we don't have enough backflow
Yeah.
devices to test.
right,
And to maintain that certification, cause I had it, you have to do 50 tests a year, so.
yeah.
In order to get it, I'd have either me or Steve going in here testing this one 50 times and.
Are we doing the testing now?
No,
No.
We
But
still
it just,
haven't,
yeah,
but
that's
I
what I'm
was just saying,
it's
as
just
like
not
an
worth-
example, just have, you know.
Right.
you
Have
know,
a third party do it.
Yeah.
Almost like I know a lot of the bigger buildings, like the mill and stuff, they have to have their
The sprinkler system, yeah.
sprinkler system certified and checked, and
Right.
then provide the town with what.
Yeah. All right, so I think
Come
that's,
up with something for
Yeah.
that.
yeah, and then let me just, like I said, I
Next
didn't,
meeting.
I didn't add this, so I just wanna get the full story on
Sure.
what the intent of the discussion was. I'm sure we covered the majority of it just now, but, I do wanna get the
So
actual
we can come
intent.
up with something for the next meeting.
Yep,
All right. Now, speaking about backflows, what's the story in the comment up there? I found out they gotta have backflow, but now I found out there is one, but it's in the ground.
yeah, so
For where?
up at the
Up at the
town
common.
common, the gazebo.
Okay, yeah.
So that was something that Kurt identified one of the times he was out doing the testing and stuff. He said that device isn't set up right.
No.
So
not
it
if
needs
it's
to be
underground.
changed because it's underground and according to the installation instructions on a backflow preventer, it's supposed to be higher than,
It has to be a foot higher than the highest head.
right, which doesn't make sense to me. I'm not gonna get into that, but
Well, that comes under the plumbing code. Plumbing code.
I know, but where's all your backflow devices in a building?
Yeah, right? They're not.
They're in the basement or wherever the water line comes in, there's the backflow device.
At the lowest.
And all the building is up there, so, like I said, that doesn't make sense to me, I'm not gonna get into that argument, but,
The outside ones have to be a foot above the highest head.
yeah, so,
That's law. But, so that one should be taken out of the ground. I never realized it was in the ground.
yeah, so that's been shut off, they haven't used it.
Oh, yeah.
We shut it off after Kurt said that that's not the correct installation.
Oh, and they want it back on.
They wanna turn it back on, because there was a fire up there not long ago.
Oh, yeah. I
So-
saw the grass burnt.
Yeah, so it burnt up all their, I don't even know what plant they have up there.
Tiger
Lilies or-
Yeah, the
Weeds.
Oh,
tiger
whatever.
lilies.
Yeah.
They got all those ones that are different colors, whatever it
Yeah.
is, but whatever they planted, they're worried that they might need water to replace them if they don't grow again or come back, so if they need to replant, they're gonna wanna water and they're gonna wanna turn that on, so
Well, that should be,
that's how that whole conversation came up.
so that should be done and brought up above the ground like it should be.
Right, so in order to do that, you gotta build a building or something else, or, you know, look like Florida where you got a pipe coming out of the ground and a
Yeah,
backflow
well, I
device
don't
and
know
back
any
down.
other way to do it.
And now you've gotta, I mean, we're in New England, not Florida, so, you know, it's either winterize it or
Well, it's gotta be winterized anyway.
drain it or, you know, whatever you,
I don't see why can't they put up a couple of poles and 2x10 across there or something decorative.
it don't matter to me, like I said, they just came down and I said they'd have to, I told them you'd probably know, so if you looked at it and if we needed to get Kurt out and
Yeah, well, I
explain
told
what he
them they
needs
have
to
to bring
do.
it above the ground, and then I found out, talking to Dave, that it's under the ground.
Yeah.
It is there,
That-
but it's not really a testable.
Yeah, they asked me and I said, there's one in the ground, and they're like, no, I don't think there's one, we need to put one in, I'm like, alright. So, like I said, it is a testable device,
Yeah, but not in the ground.
but you can't have it underground, so. But that was one of the things that we made them change.
So how do you keep them from freezing? If you bring them
Well,
up,
they gotta
right?
be drained out
You
anyways.
gotta shut them off in the winter,
Oh, okay,
and drain them
alright, so,
down,
okay.
so.
I was thinking of permanent.
Yeah,
must-
I know, that's what I
Yeah,
said.
How the hell you gonna do that?
You'd have
They
to
must
put a
drain it
building with
down
heat if you
now.
were
They
gonna.
have to drain it down now.
Well, it hasn't been on for probably 5 years,
Yeah.
so. They got an irrigation system up there too.
That is an irrigation system.
Yeah,
that it feeds.
they got a whole. But they were saying they just want a spigot so that they can run a hose. So I mean, theoretically, if you're just going to do a spigot, you could get rid of the backflow device, run one of those yard hydrants up, and put a hose bib vacuum breaker on it, and then you're covered. But with an in-ground irrigation system, you need the
Yeah, they
RPZ.
drain back down below.
Yeah.
below frost, yeah.
So if we just put it on that side of the meter, then we're accounting for the water. So
There's
in
also,
my opinion, that's what I would do. I
there's a
would.
bubble with there too, right? Somebody said.
Yes. Yeah, and I think the base to that bubbler was the axe stone that my uncle had leaning
yeah.
up against the wall up on North Street.
Yeah,
Do you remember
Could
that
be.
years ago? He had that
Yeah.
giant stone,
Yeah.
and Highway asked if they could take it. When my uncle died, Highway asked my parents if they could take it.
Oh, is that right?
Go ahead, we can't move the thing.
Yeah.
You know? So they came up with the loader and took it.
yeah.
So,
Well, that's something that should be addressed.
yeah. So I told them, let me know, and we'll get Kurt
Yeah.
to go up there. But like I said, in my opinion, I mean, that's a big expense. That's going to cost thousands of dollars.
What? To get that out of the ground?
Yeah. You plumbers are crazy. You're going to want all kinds of money to run that up and down and put a backflow device in there.
Shouldn't be that much of a big deal.
How much is a
And
backflow device nowadays?
To be honest with you, I don't know, but it's
Well, then
probably
you're gonna put some
$400.
decoration there because then they're gonna worry about it being an eyesore in the corner.
So like I said, if it was me, I'd get rid of that backflow device. I'd come out with a yard hydrant, and it's right there. You put a hose bib vacuum breaker on it, and you're done.
But they have an irrigation system they may want to use.
Yeah, they want to
Well, I
use it.
asked them that.
Yeah.
They said no, they didn't want to use the irrigation. They just want to have a hose so that
Well,
they
what
can.
are they? Oh, there's too many people involved in that.
That's
That's
that's why I say get everybody up there, and I'll have the backflow guy come in and explain what you need to have.
Bob can donate a park bench and then just put the backflow preventer on the back of the park bench.
Do anything like that. I was thinking just come up with a couple 4x4s and a nice big piece of wood there, anchor it to that, come up and anchor it to that, and just put some shrubs beside of it.
yeah.
Put it up out of the way. Would Kurt be willing to come down and talk to them and
Well, he'll
give
come
them
out.
some
Yeah.
ideas?
Well, he'll come out and tell him what he needs done to make it meet the requirements.
If they want to do that, I'll meet Kurt up there and we'll go over it.
I didn't come out right. All right, yeah, just let me know.
Well, let me know when Kurt can do it. I can do it almost anytime.
Okay.
Is that it on a private hydrant?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned for now. We'll come back to it for,
Talk to Steve
Next
about
month.
it and get back to us.
yeah, just to make sure we covered whatever
Mm-hmm.
his initial intent there was.
Yeah, I didn't know those things weren't being flushed and stuff. I mean, that's.
Yeah, it's an issue.
Either somehow we're gonna have to force them to do it, or we'll do it ourselves and bill them. I mean, it's for their own protection.
I'm
I mean-
surprised that the insurance company doesn't require that.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Alright.
What do we got next?
Anything else?
I think goals of objectives is probably a little preliminary. I think we got enough on
Yeah, we got a lot on the
the
plate.
big thing, a lot to.
Yeah.
So the generator for the sewer plant is.
Yeah, so the generator isn't here yet for the sewer plant, but,
But it's-
we got the one for primary.
It's being
Um,
built, or on
It should be any time. I'll give him a call tomorrow.
So I gotta have that hooked up when it comes in.
The one here or the one over at primary?
Primary. That's what I
Primary's
would say.
there. I already disconnected that one. I just got a little more to do so I can get that. I already talked to John about coming over with the loader. We'll get that one out of the way and
Oh, we're doing that.
yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, put that one back in place.
What are they doing with the old one?
Well, the power unit caught on fire, so that's no good. But
Oh.
we'll take the old one and throw it over at mobile for now if I can.
For the engine?
If I can come across another power head, even if it's a 480 or
Yeah.
whatever, we can use it somewhere else in town if I can get a. It's a 600 volt, so it's an oddball. Not many people use it, and you're not going to find them too easy.
Yeah.
But if I can change that power unit to a 480 instead of a 600, then we could use it all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Is that a mic job?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
He's probably got one.
What's the story on this one? This one hasn't come in yet.
Nope. So, but I've called, I've emailed, I've left voicemails, I've called his cell phone. He doesn't answer any of my calls, and he won't answer my emails. I finally got a hold of him because I blocked my number, and he said he was going to check on it, and then all of a sudden that one came in. So
It's probably on the same ship with my air conditioning unit coming from Turkey. We had to order an air conditioning unit from one of the buses from Turkey, and now nobody knows where it is. It's on a ship somewhere between here and Turkey.
yeah, sitting out on the port.
So that's where our generator is. Same ship.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I've got.
Only thing I have is maybe any update on the staffing.
Yep. So I went up and met with Matt as to what the requirements were. I was trying to get that out Friday.
For the ad?
Yeah. So he wants to do the internal posting first. And
Yeah.
then
We're
put
gonna
it out. So,
we have to do that.
yeah. So he went over all the stuff that he wants included in it.
Yeah.
The salary, the range, the hours,
Yeah.
the lifting requirements, all that, the physical requirements, and that won't require physicals. So, so I should have that posted internally this week. That'll be 2 weeks, and then we'll go out.
Okay.
So
What's the starting on
I wanted
that?
to have it done 2 weeks ago, but what's that?
What's the starting on that?
Well, it's 3 positions, so I'd have to look at whatever the book says.
One was laborer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One is a laborer, it's the level below truck driver,
Yeah.
labor or whatever. 17 maybe, something like that. I don't remember. I don't know off the top of my head. If you look at the annual town book, whatever that
Yeah, it's in there.
compensation
Yeah, I
chart, it
know.
was the PM one.
I
or
love
something.
that chart.
All right. That sounds good. So then we hit that next. So we should be able to have.
Yeah. So how do you guys want to handle
So review. Well, obviously the ads
reviewing
are- yeah.
applications or?
Yeah, we can have the review the applications, kind of go through all the applications, see, weed out the ones.
Yeah, so like I said, I just wanted to be clear on how you want to handle that process of
Do
it.
we let him do the initial
On the application?
on the application?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna submit all the applications and we can kind of just go through, make us say, these ones I think, get us close to what we need to be.
Yeah, narrow it down to a certain number.
Yeah.
Alright.
I mean, I remember some years it was like a pilot, I think.
Oh, yeah,
Applied
no,
for
out of Georgia or
Yeah,
Florida or something,
yeah.
yeah. You got a PhD and a pilot applying for a wastewater job. So I'll get the applications. Do you all want to review the applications, or?
I'd like to take a look at them and just get obviously the ones that are not qualified, then
Yeah.
put them out.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, have him do the ones that aren't qualified and then we'll,
Yeah.
Alright.
unless you wanna do them all.
And then, once we narrow it down and pick ones to interview, did this board want to interview, or how do you want to do the interview process?
I think there should be at least 2 commissioners approving the.
Two commissioners and Bob,
Yeah.
And are you gonna, so
Matt,
you want 2 commissioners, so when we narrow it down to whatever the number you guys decide on how many applicants you want to interview, do you want to do a first interview and then narrow it down, and do you want that with 2 commissioners Because if you have two commissioners, it's gonna be live interviews.
I think the first round, I don't think has to be, you can do executive session, I think, on that, and isn't
No.
it the last one that, I can double check on that.
Yeah.
I remember going through that before, I think,
I would have to double check, but
I thought it was the.
I thought that's why normally they did the first round of interviews to get it narrowed down to a couple was not a full board so that you weren't doing it in a meeting.
Mhm.
But I don't know if we can do it as executive session.
I thought there was
And do
something.
all
we'll
the
double
interviews.
check,
Yeah, I know.
We'll figure out see which way works, make it most efficient.
All right.
The other thing too is there should be, at some point in the interview process, whether it's first or second interview, there should be a list of pre-canned questions. So that, you know, these are,
Yeah, you're asking all the same
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
so, and especially for the two professional positions anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a set of, you know, set of questions that we've agreed
Mhm.
to begin with, you know.
Yeah,
So
so
that-
everybody's asked the same
Yeah,
question.
so if you end up at the second interview and you're fortunate enough to have 2 or 3 candidates, then all of those candidates are getting the same question.
Like, to be fair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't wanna do like we did with you, have 8 people in here, and then say, what was the latest book you read? What's your favorite movie?
No, I mean, that's
I
unnecessary.
mean, come on,
And
you
we
know,
have, the sport has the authority to hire it, so.
that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You still reading that book, aren't you?
Yeah, my answer was I don't read novels, I read technical books. That's
Oh, you said?
Then we had
true.
one interviewer said, you know, he's so ambitious, we don't wanna hire him because he may not stay. 10 years later.
Yeah, but you can't lie to the candidates either. I said, oh, you got to meet a replacement program? He goes, oh, yeah. I said, well, how far are you through that? Oh, we're like 90% done. Yeah. 90% to go.
Well, he didn't say which way.
Yeah. Yeah. I was laughing on that one.
All right. Yeah, so we can
All right.
just
I just want to have an idea what
check those
direction we want to
gallons
do on that. So,
and see.
okay,
That's all I have.
that's all I got.
But we're all in agreement, we the only board that should be involved with it, or?
Yeah, that's not, I don't think
Yeah.
there's any need to get creating all kinds of.
Yeah, it's different if you're hiring a department head. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
different, not, you know.
Internal staff, I don't think is, time we get. All right, so I make a motion to adjourn, anything else?
No, 8:37.
Make a motion to adjourn at 8:37.
Second?
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.